Hey everyone, how's it going? For today's video, let's take an up-close and personal, in-depth look at the completely revamped and all-new 2015 Chrysler 200C all-wheel drive. So this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the 200. We'll start it up, show the engine, get an exhaust clip and go over the performance data, as well as show you a bunch of the unique aspects of the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to extend a big thanks and special shout out to North Point Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for allowing me to come out and film the all-new 2015 Chrysler 200C. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. As you can see, the 200C does feature standard remote start. Now, also standard on the 200 is Chrysler's Enter and Go remote smart key access system. So, by just taking the key fob and placing it in your pocket, and utilizing the black buttons and touch sensors on both the driver and passenger side door handles, you're able to lock and unlock the vehicle. To lock, just tap the button once, the horn will chime, then after waiting a second, just grab the handle, the touch sensor is located right behind it, and it automatically unlocks the vehicle. This exterior color is known as Granite Crystal Metallic, and comes nicely paired with the optional, upgraded perforated all-black Nappa leather interior with dark brown color accent stitching and piping. Not to mention genuine open-pore wood panels and bronze chrome trim found throughout. Definitely gives a very modern yet tailored touch. And along with that smart key system, the 200 also features standard remote push-button ignition via the button mounted in the dash. To start, all you have to do is just put your foot on the brake and hit the button to go. The instrument cluster of this 200C features beautiful blue backlit gauges casting a soft glow across the entire cluster. Tachometer and speedometer are inscripted on each gauge, giving a little bit of a throwback touch. Whereas all 200s actually feature a TFT display in the middle, this 200C features the optional, larger 7-inch TFT display with all of your driver information controls and more. The new 200 now features electric assist, speed proportional variable ratio rack and pinion steering fed through an all-new 3-spoke wheel, wrapped in soft, supple leather and brown cross-stitched accenting. Your multifunction controls on either of the top 2 spokes, and the unique tinted bronze chrome trim found throughout, especially the ring highlighting the circumference of the wheel. As far as the gearbox, the standard and only one available is a new 9-speed automatic, the same one equipped in the new Jeep Cherokee, all fed through a very cool rotary gear selector mounted in the center console. Just put your foot on the brake and twist the gear selector to rotate the desired selection. Press down and twist it all the way to the right to activate the Sport mode. Sport mode automatically disengages the vehicle's traction control as well as tightens up the steering, modifies the shift points, and more. Not to mention, you can also shift the vehicle manually in the upper trim levels via the aluminum paddle shifters mounted on the back of the steering wheel, giving a little bit more of a sporty flavor. A backup camera with adjustable guidance lines is available, along with a slew of all-new adaptive safety systems, including adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, rear cross-path detection, blind spot monitoring, lane keeping assist, as well as parallel and perpendicular parking assist. But more on that a little bit later. There's also a standard electronic parking brake, pull up to activate and put your foot on the brake and push down to deactivate.
And so, we're going to flip on the automatic LED accented bi-xenon headlamps, LED fog lamps, and the hazards. Both of the front windows feature laminated glass and are fully automatic. So, let's go and check out the exterior. You'll also notice that the interior will start chiming, letting you know it's lost detection of the proximity key fob.
The latest Chrysler 200 represents an all-new direction for the brand in the highly competitive mid-size sedan segment. It has come a long way since its market debut, when it was nothing more than an updated Sebring essentially, part of Chrysler's company-wide rebranding program back in 2011. The 200, along with the other all-new models introduced at the time, such as the Charger and 300, was a big leap in the right direction as far as revamping the brand's image. While the all-new products have been quite competitive in their various segments, the 200 still wasn't nearly as competitive of an offering when compared to larger alternatives that featured better build quality and technology. This is especially important as the 200 represents Chrysler's entry-level or volume model. While it did sell in relatively good numbers, it was still 2 to 3 times less than other popular cars like the Toyota Camry, for example. For 2015, the 200 receives a thorough, complete redesign, including an all-new chassis, updated base engine, and an all-new interior. It's also the first vehicle produced in the new world-class manufacturing plant, a 2 million square foot facility based in Sterling Heights, Michigan. The investment not only enhances quality assurance in general, but quality of the paint finishes, fit and finish, and more, while using 62% less energy than before. These efforts come to life when you really look at the 200 closely, noticing that it's definitely more competitive than it ever has been. It boasts a fresh new design language for the brand that's both sleek, slightly edgy, and without a doubt modern, not to mention an interior with superb build quality for the class and technology that assimilates itself nicely with the rest of the brand's current vehicle offerings. The 200's new chassis also forms the basis of the Dodge Dart and the new Jeep Cherokee. It's similar, but slightly modified that gives the 200 a longer profile. While wheelbase and length grow by 1.6 inches and 8.4 inches respectively, the overall size doesn't differ too much from the previous generation. The new car is less than an inch longer, about an inch wider, and just under 4 inches taller. The Alfa Romeo derived chassis is made with 60% high-strength steel, lighter weight, and has a little bit more rigidity compared to traditional steel, while a large aluminum cradle supports the lower end of the engine and front suspension. A separate aluminum cradle out back supports the rear multi-link suspension. Available in 4 trim levels: Base LX, Upgraded Limited, Sporty S trim, and Luxury 200C. They each have their own character, especially the S with its blacked out exterior trim and unique blue accented interior. The main thing that differs on the outside is equipment, with projector halogens providing standard illumination for both the headlamps and fog lamps. Optional are bi-xenon headlamps with LED daytime running lights and LED fog lamps like you see here. The Limited and C receive a chrome highlighted front and rear fascia, while the C receives a specific lower grille for the optional adaptive safety systems. The upper set is black mesh. The curved headlamps blend seamlessly into the flowing grille, also finished in a slender piece of chrome. The side profile is a combination of scallops, projections, and subtle accent lines that give it a more sculpted designer feel than last year's model. The rear features LED accented tail lamps with a short rear deck and tidy lower clip with dual polished exhaust for V6 models, not to mention a swept up deck lid acting as a sculpted spoiler. The 200 is primarily front-wheel drive, but is now available with all-wheel drive when equipped with the V6, similar to the system used for the new Jeep Cherokee. It consists of a single-speed power transfer unit that sends up to 60% of the torque to the rear wheels if necessary. To help decrease economy losses all-wheel drive cars characteristically experience when compared to a front or rear-wheel drive offering, there's a system that allows the rear drive shaft to automatically disconnect if not needed, such as on a highway, helping keep fuel economy nearly identical to the front-wheel drive counterpart. Another cool thing is how both the S and the C models blend the characteristic of the all-wheel drive system with the vehicle's sport mode. When activated, it essentially splits the torque evenly between the front and rear wheels to help increase traction and handling. It also makes the electric assist steering more responsive while adjusting the shift points, yaw control, and turning off the stability control. The 200 can be had with either of 9 wheel choices, including standard 17-inch wheel covers for the LX to a range of alloys from 17 to 19 inches. This 200C all-wheel drive features its own unique set of polished 18-inch alloys wrapped in Bridgestone Acopia 235/45 tires at each corner. Brakes consist of 4-wheel, 1-piece cast iron ventilated 13-inch discs in front and 10.9-inch solid discs in the rear, all with single-piston sliding calipers. With this setup, the 200 is able to be brought to a stop from 60 miles an hour in an average of 119 feet. As far as the suspension, it's fully independent as you would expect, with McPherson struts in front and a multi-link setup in the rear, also with coil springs at each corner with front and rear stabilizer bars. Overall length is 192.3 inches with a width of 73.6 inches and a height of 58.7 inches riding on a 108-inch wheelbase. Total curb weight, as you see here, is around 3,473 pounds.
So let's go ahead and pop the hood.
The 200 can be had with either of 2 available engines. Standard equipment includes a 2.4-liter Tiger Shark 4-cylinder that also features Fiat's Multi-Air 2 valve lift technology. It produces 184 horsepower at 6,250 RPM and 173 pound-feet of torque at 4,600 RPM. A V6 is optional only for the 200S and 200C, while the base LX and upgraded limited trims are i4 only. This 200C is powered by the optional 3.6-liter all-aluminum Pentastar V6, with port fuel injection, double overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, as well as variable intake and exhaust valve timing. The Pentastar has a compression ratio of 10:1 and a red line of 6,400 RPM. It produces a healthy 295 horsepower at 6,350 RPM and 262 pound-feet of torque at 4,250 RPM. This allows it to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles an hour in a relatively brisk 6.4 seconds, while passing the quarter mile in 14.5 seconds at 96.6 miles per hour. As far as fuel economy, with a 15.8-gallon tank and running on regular unleaded gas, expect an EPA range between 22 city and 29 highway for the V6, or 23 city, 36 highway for the 4-cylinder. That's an improvement of 7% for the V6 and 13% for the 4-cylinder compared to last year. Inside, the 2015 200 is all new and is light years ahead of its predecessor in terms of build quality, fit and finish, and materials of use. It feels more comfortable, refined, and innovative. Taking a closer look at the door panels, you see that the majority of the upper portion is wrapped in soft touch material, as well as the optional open pore wood finish, and a little bit more of an extra luxury touch that you typically don't get in this class. Soft padded armrests with brown color accent stitching, all of your electric accessories, as well as satin chrome finish door handles amongst the bronze chrome trim. The seating is also all new, and this particular model is wrapped in the optional Nappa leather seating surfaces. They're also perforated across the middle for both the heating and ventilated function, keeping everything nice and flowing during those hot days. Your power adjustments are located down below, including your standard recline, tilting, height adjustment, and more, as well as 4-way power lumbar adjustment. The attention to detail overall, especially in this class, is really quite good, with nice double stitching across the bolsters of the seats, as well as the piped accents coming across the edges. And of course, side curtain airbags all the way around with adjustable headrests and adjustable seatbelts. Continuing on down below, you do have a large prominent dead pedal with a lot of all-weather protection, as well as the unique pass-through for the floating center console. The steering is manual tilt telescoping, whereas the entire dash curves all the way around and wraps into the door panels. The bronze chrome trim highlighting many of the interior accents, not too much, just the right amount, as well as the open pore wood trim in the center console. You can also have an optional dual-pane panoramic sunroof.
So let's go ahead and see how she sounds. So we're going to shut her up. Nice tight panels.
This 200C features the optional navigation and sound group, coming equipped with a 506-watt 9-speaker premium Alpine surround sound system, all fed through an upgraded 8.4-inch Garmin-based Uconnect mobile media navigation telemetrics interface. Super easy to use, great graphics, and I'll show you how to use all of the features in just a second.
The optional Alpine system really is a great choice if you love music. It packs quite a punch and there's a fantastic level of clarity. Of course, your side curtain airbags. And it's also a really nice styling cue how the dash just seamlessly blends into the doors and the wood panels. Up top, padded visors with vanity mirrors and illumination. You also have a 3-position garage home link located on the driver's side visor. Your rearview mirror is auto-dimming and features a 911 emergency calling system as well as roadside assistance. In the top stack, you have 2 individual LED reading lamps highlighted by chrome trim and a satin silver ring coming around the entire stack, not to mention a padded sunglass container. So now, let's dive in a little bit deeper into the optional 8.4-inch Uconnect mobile media navigation system. Honestly, this is one of my favorite systems on the market. It's really easy to use, the graphics are high res, and there's a lot of different applications across the entire Chrysler Group family. Even Maserati has adapted this for the new Quattroporte and the Ghibli. Now right now, we're in our main media screen where we can highlight our iPod, auxiliary integration, as well as hands-free Bluetooth streaming of audio. Note that the 200 does not feature a CD player. This is a pretty modern trend with manufacturers this day and age, as more and more people rely on their smartphones and iPods or other MP3 devices. So we have your album artwork powered by Grace Note, as well as all the song artist information. Down below here, you can skip tracks, rewind, fast forward, pause, or browse the available tracks. Go between the playlists, songs, albums, genres. Basically the same controls like you would actually find on your iPod. Your audio adjustments are off to the far right, included speed compensated volume, surround sound, equalizer, and balance and fade. Off to the far right, you can split yield data between your available tracks, song information a little bit more detailed, as well as your navigation. As far as the main radio screen, up top you have all of your preset stations. There's actually 12 in all. You can also dual yield your map, activate your HD radio, and go between AM, FM, and standard Sirius XM satellite radio. Of course, browsing the available stations in your local area, manual tuning, seek scan, and all of your standard radio controls. So now let's continue over to the controls, where you can activate your 2-stage heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, your auto-dimming rearview mirror control, as well as your system settings. It really goes quite in depth. Your climate control, including your dual zone controls, max AC, auto recycling, front and rear defrost. Bring up your controls again through that little shortcut key, different zones, and fan speed at the bottom, not to mention syncing the temperature on both sides. Your navigation. Since it's Garmin based, Garmin's always a pretty easy system to get used to, so all the controls pretty much carry over to this. Your destination input, inputting points of interest, favorite locations, as well as your home, navigation options, and emergency assistance. Your hands-free Bluetooth telephone. If you don't have one paired, it will automatically ask you to pair it. And then it brings you to this main screen here where you can manually dial, voice dial, store favorite contacts up top there, and more. The Uconnect apps are also pretty cool. Now, they've got a lot more functionality with this over the years. Now it has 3G connectivity as well as smartphone integration, so a lot of the same apps that you have on your smartphone you can also register on the Uconnect system. From internet radio, activating your Wi-Fi hotspot, system settings, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and more. Not to mention Sirius XM Travel Link with fuel prices, movie listings, real-time weather updates, nice and handy. as well as customizing your apps, seeing which ones are running currently, and more. Up top, you have your temperature, outside temperature, compass, clock, and whether you have a ventilated or heated seat going. But really, in a nutshell, those are all the basic features of the optional Uconnect system now available for the all-new Chrysler 200. As we continue down the center console, you also have some shortcut keys for your radio, as well as climate control. Fan speed in the middle, one-touch automatic, front and rear defrost, and recycling. Temperature on either side. Your radio, tune, browsing, scroll, all through that knob over there. Your back button, turning the screen off if you didn't want it on at night, as well as your traction control. As we come across the floating center console, this center portion also features the open wood trim. And what's also cool about this, you not only have a little storage pocket here and two cup holders, but if you press this little button right here and slide it back, it reveals a hidden storage compartment. With a pass-through to the open console down there, you have a 12-volt power outlet, USB, iPod integration, as well as an AC household outlet. Very handy indeed. But the coolest application is really underneath the padded center console. You have a little bit of illumination here, but it's actually one big continuous console that runs completely under the cup holders. So there's just really a tremendous amount of space. Another one of my favorite little aspects, it's a small one, but something that I think is just so cool. You actually have the skyline of Detroit made into the rubber mat in the center console. Being that the vehicle is designed and built in Michigan, it's definitely pretty cool. Using the little directional arrows on the steering wheel, going left and right, you're able to go between your digital speedometer readout and what gear you're currently in if manually shifting. Definitely pretty nifty. Up and down goes between your setup, messages, audio, trip, fuel data, vehicle information, other status gauges, temperature, and more. Across the steering wheel, you have your driver info controls to the left, as well as your hands-free telephone and voice commands. Help.
To play music, include the type, which can be song, artist, album, genre, playlist, audiobook, or podcast. Say things like, play song Maple Leaf Rag, play artist Scott Joplin, or play track 5. You can interrupt this help message by pressing the voice button. For radio, you can say things like, tune to 95.7 FM, or tune to satellite channel ESPN. You can also say things like, show Major League
Cancel.
Canceled.
So you pretty much get the point. It's all pretty easy to use. It also displays the commands on the screen, respective to which mode you're in. And that voice has also gotten a lot more pleasant over the years. I have a 2012 Dodge Charger, and I really wish that voice was in it. Mine sounds quite robotic. Cruise control, your intermittent wipers, and high beams and turn signals. Alright, so it's going to shut her down. And we'll check out the back seat. Just like the front passengers, occupants in the rear also get treated with the same amount of padded material and leather upholstery for a true comfortable experience. So soft material across the doors, and a little bit of storage in the bottom. The rear seat also features the same brown color accent stitching and piping for a continued effect. Being that the 200 is a smaller car in the mid-size segment versus full-size, backseat room is a little bit tighter than, say, a 300C. But that doesn't mean that it's not accommodating for a wide amount of individuals. People over 6 feet tall might be a little bit cramped in the back, so you might want to look into getting something like a bigger 300. But I'm around 5'11", and initial impressions, I probably have about a ½ inch of headspace or so, plenty enough to wiggle around, and at least I don't know, maybe 3.5, 4 inches of leg space. I also love just how solid the door panels are. Really, all of the newest Chrysler Group products have similar build quality, and even the Charger and stuff. So, I mean, for this particular car and this market and this price point, the build quality really is spectacular. Backseat comfort is also pretty good overall in my opinion. There's a nice amount of lower back support, good padding, nice and soft. There's also some thicker bolsters across the bottom of the cushion here, keeping you planted a little bit more and complemented by a little bit more up top. You can fit 3 people back here as well with an extra seat belt and a full-size headrest that's also adjustable up and down just as the other two are. Storage pockets in the back of the seats, grip handles up top with coat hook, rear illumination, reading lamps, as well as 2 air registers down below. You also have a full padded armrest here with a little bit of storage, 2 cup holders, and a trunk pass-through if you need to stow some taller items. Another thing that I thought Chrysler did really well with was adding little quarter windows in the C-pillars, basically eliminating the rear blind spot. There's also side curtain airbags to the rear, so everybody stays well protected just like any modern car would be. So, let's go and check out the rest of the vehicle.
Overall, the new 200 has around 16 cubic feet of cargo space out back. Plenty enough for the midsize sedan segment. Load height isn't too high, but you do have some tall loading height within the vehicle. You do have back seats that fold 60-40 split if you need to stow some larger items up to the front seats. Underneath the trunk floor is where you find your temporary spare tire.
The passenger seat also features similar power adjustments that you find on the driver's seat, only without the extra power lumbar. That floating center console, even more defined from the passenger side. There's also a locking glove box down below. And since they actually don't have the HVAC system located right behind the glove box is actually quite substantial. There's a lot of room back there. And illumination.
The all-new 200 is a bold direction for Chrysler Group in the midsize sedan segment. With a competitive design, upgraded technology, and vast improvements in build quality, it definitely holds its own in this highly competitive market. With good model variety as well as 2 powertrain options, there's flexibility for anyone.
Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the all-new 2015 Chrysler 200C. Be sure to stay tuned next time. There's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.